This is very much a non-SLUT shaming channel, so if you have clicked on today's video because you want me to spout the exact same opinions as everybody else on TikTok currently has, well, you might be wasting your time here today. I, for one, am not really a actually open person, unfortunately, and there are various factors as to why I am not, but I am not going to sit here and judge people for the way they choose to live their lives. However, nuance is often forgotten about in conversations as such, and it is exactly why I'm sat here doing today's video, because not everything is black and white. There is a gray area with almost every single topic that I talk about here on this channel. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first and foremost, because a lot of people are either like rah 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 this or rah 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 that, and we never just have a convo, man. In a time where things like bop houses exist, we've got to call it for what it is. It is quite literally selling a life towards young girls through social media by making it seem really fun and epic to live in a house with your besties creating content together. Absolutely bankrolling porn addicts because woman empowerment, am I right, chat? Something that these bop houses tend to have in common is that they entice freshly 18-year-old girls with the idea that they can have it all. They can have anything and everything they want in the world, but not ever indulging in the ever so present consequences that this line of work holds. A lot of these people never divulge information that they are stalked, that they are harassed, that they are treated like property, because these creepy incel gooner men think that they own a woman simply because he pays for her content. In a sense, you could say that these houses promote the degradation of women in its own right too, because I kind of hate the fact that one of the only fields women are dominating in is work. And whilst a lot of women choose this line of work because they have such a deep love for it, they feel like it's their life purpose, and they feel like it's their life's calling, which is great in my opinion, so long as you're not being taken advantage of, exploited, trafficked, forced to do things against your will for the sake of making the big man some money. It is still exploitation, and it is still grooming when you're showing all these great things that can come along with being a part of a bop house. And people seem to forget too that just because women are running the joint doesn't necessarily mean it's all that safe and all that good. I mean, the bop house has recently had a 17-year-old influencer over, welcoming her into the house, which purpose is to foster OF creators making content with each other to maximize their bank balance. And I don't really have a problem with people wanting to make money or anything like that, because we are living in such a hard and stressful economy right now. You know, people should not feel like they have to turn to do something that they don't want to do. You know, so I see where people are coming from when they're like, these influencers glorify this line of work when there are women who are being trafficked and forced against their will to do it, and meanwhile, they're never reaping any rewards from it, and that's an issue. And what the bop house has done recently, I'm sorry, in my honest opinion, counts as grooming to me. She's not 18 yet, guys. Why the are you having her over? I don't understand. Now, with the criticisms that I have so far, and more that we're going to get into later in this video, I don't ever want to take away from the fact that there are women out there who want to do these things. Because whether you think that this line of work is unconventional, something that you would never ever do, there are people out there that do want to do it. And I don't really think there's anything wrong with that, so long as they're not hurting anyone, they're not doing anything illegal, nor are they being exploited. It doesn't make her a bad person if she wants to get into this line of work. I'm more concerned with the bigger man and the industry itself that does exploit women on the constant daily basis. But, you know, like always, we have to attack women. We have to put them down because am I right? It is the industry that is harmful. It is dangerous. It is exploitive. But today isn't necessarily about the bop house. Over the past week, alternative TikTok has been in absolute shambles over the formation of the alt bop house. This house does exactly the same stuff that the bop house does, they're just alternative women doing it. Now, before we get into the thick of it, I would just like to educate some people on the sexual liberation within the alternative community as an umbrella term and the problems with the fetishization of alternative women. In the 80s, goth subculture really started to take off in its own right, with the Batcave becoming a staple in the community at the time, as it was a club where goth people could get together and dance the night away to goth music and connect with like-minded individuals. We started to see goths adorned in fetish wear, such as fishnets, collars, shiny PVC, leashes, all that kind of stuff. And it essentially is a goth's way of showing their admiration for the taboo. Because you've got to understand, during that time, during the 80s, sex was still such a taboo topic. It was not spoken about because religion was so popular. Like, everybody was religious. Everything would kind of be infected with a religious ideology. Like, you can't talk about sex because it goes against the Bible and so forth. I'm not religious, so I'm not going to really speak on that. Something that I want to mention too is that the scene has accepted people of all backgrounds from the very beginning, from people who are gender non-conforming to people of different sexualities, because sex was such a huge topic amongst the goths in the earliest of times. That is something that I found by doing research, as it does take one Google search to read papers, have a look, and I don't really know why people aren't doing that, because apparently the narrative right now is that alternative people hate workers, and I don't know if it's because we're regressing at the moment, so kind of like conservatism is seeping into all facets of media right now. Even as far as the alternative community, it's like so wild at the moment. Purity culture is back, baby. Boo! Presenting appearances of being open. Now, does that mean that that is an invitation to be creepy and or weird? Absolutely not. But we're talking about the fact that history shows that goths have been accepting of this sort of stuff. That was and still is counterculture. Because you've got to remember, during a time like that, bop house, the thought of a bop house would have not gone down well. And of course, even during the 80s, there were brothels and prostitution and all that kind of stuff. However, that's kind of where goths come in and embrace that taboo. Now, from the looks of it, the women who make up the alt bop house don't seem to identify themselves with a subculture, just kind of dressing the part but not being. And that is pretty much just on face value, without clicking on any of their individual profiles and just taking the content at face value over on that TikTok account. Alternative subcultures have been sexualized and more so fetishized over the years, now more than ever before, because porn addictions are, to put it bluntly, getting fucking out of control. Like, it is something that I will most likely make a video on one day, because it is something that is always so easily accessible and readily available for anybody to consume. And like anything that you don't do in moderation, it's bad for ya. Even drinking too much water is like, and let me just say, the whole goth mummy bullshit is most of the time uncalled for, because sure, there are so many women out there who are goth who do enjoy that kind of stuff. So again, I don't want to take away from women who enjoy it, because there are a lot of us that are like, ew, goth, I'm just trying to wear me clothes, listen to me music, and do my own thing, alright? Off. No one wants you. I don't want you. But for the most part, goth women do not like that, because what they are wearing is not an invitation for you to be fucking creepy and weird. Look, I don't even want to talk about this term because I get so hot in the throat, okay? Chills are going down my spine, but the big titty goth GF shit. If you say that to women, like, go dangle in the garage. You know, I don't know what else to say. You're annoying. I hate you. You're disgusting. Treat women like human beings and not fucking porn categories, you strange cunts. So that in of itself is a huge reason as to why alternative TikTok isn't really jiving with the fact that there is this thing like alt bop house. I do think it is a little bit strange though that people are focusing on the aspect of them being posers instead of, you know, the bop house having a literal minor over, and she's probably gonna start making content with them as soon as she turns 18. I mean, you just don't know what happens in the shadows there, and supposedly this influencer too has sold really just risque shit as a minor, and that's already a problem within itself. Like, I don't know why there's no consequences to that. Like, where are her parents? And that's not me doing whataboutism, like, oh, look at this thing, oh, look at that. No. I'm just trying to make a point that I understand why alternative TikTok is upset and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, it's like, now we're focusing our attention on people being posers as opposed to these absolute idiots who are bringing in a minor into the house. Like, there is so much wrong with that. So much. What I find confusing, however, is the fact that there are alternative women out there who have OF accounts and they are not being accused of using the aesthetics of it all to entice men into subscribing to their OFs. And it's like, these women do the exact same stuff that the alt bop house does. The only difference is that, you know, you can't exactly confirm or deny whether they are a part of any subculture. I know and am friends with many alternative women who do OF, and I don't think they're posers. I do not think they're bad people for being in that line of work whatsoever. And, you know, they do very, very similar things, if not the exact same stuff that the girls in the bop house does. And it's kind of like, you know, you can't really call someone a poser just because they're living a rather unconventional life. So now I want to get into the part where people are accusing these girls of using alternative aesthetics in order to entice men to subscribe to their OF. Say you're not a goth, but you use aesthetics of the goth subculture in order to capitalize. That would be, you know, kind of an issue because for the most part, this subculture is anti-capitalist because goth has roots from punk. Now, that is not to say whatsoever that you can't be goth whilst making money, because that's just dumb. It is the inherent use of the subculture with the sole purpose to gain. Now, in this instance, it would be a bit controversial because, yes, some alternative people are into some pretty freaky shit. For example, collars. You know, something that I wear all the time has roots from stuff like BDSM and fetish and whatnot. But it is kind of putting alternative women at risk because you're pretty much just boiling down the subculture into a category rather than a way people choose to live. Now, once again, I cannot say for certain that all of the women in the alt bop house are posers and are using the subculture to gain, you know, to capitalize and stuff, because I feel like I have to say though, attacking these women and not the core issue itself is just kind of really disgusting to see, because I almost feel as though a lot of people who are pointing the finger at the girls in the alt bop house are kind of just looking for a reason to be misogynistic and sexist and to platform their hate for sex workers. Because look, you can think all you like that it is a line of work that is gross, that you would never want to be in. That is fine, and it is fine to have your own opinion, but you can't dictate what other people do with their lives, because it's completely gone away from these women supposedly using the subculture to gain, because I don't really think any of them have claimed a subculture, you know, because it doesn't make you inherently goth or emo or any of these things because you wear black lipstick and a black skirt, you know what I mean? Let's talk about the dangers of women being stalked and harassed because the stupid gooner creepy ass incel man who subscribes to this said woman's OnlyFans content thinks he owns her, thinks that she is his property, all because he pays $5.99 a month to see images? Let's discuss the lifelong traumas of family and friends and close loved ones alienating you completely because you chose to do something like this. Let's discuss the absolute state of the economy at the moment, which in turn makes people feel like this is their only option to make a quick buck. But no, none of that is talked about here. None of that is being divulged in or expanded on. It's just, look at these poses. Look at these poses. Oh, you know, alternative people are against sex work. Since when, cunt? I have seen so many comments get so many likes, probably from the people who look at, you know, people like us and like, oh, that blue-haired feminist, she's a good one because she has the right opinion. She's putting down a woman. Yes, let's go, misogyny! Alternative people, from the very beginning, if we're taking goth as a example, has always supported sex workers. Maybe not the industry, because there are a lot of problems with the industry women are barely taken care of, but you know, it's a little bit different when you're talking about somebody who opens up an account on a website and does this kind of content in the comfort of their own home, their own boss. Sex work has and always will be connected to alternative in some fashion. Maybe not completely, but I must bring up again, since a lot of people seem to think that these subcultures come down to the way you look on the outside, it's counterculture. You know what sex work is? It's counterculture, because regardless of how much you see that there are all of these OF creators on the internet, it still isn't normal. And it's like, it's so hilarious to me because there are also so many male OF creators who never cop anything. No one ever says shit about them, but oh, it's because historically women have been but you know what? When they decide to take their power back, it's suddenly a bad thing. I am not the beacon of subculture. I am not, you know, subculture police. But what I will say, it is so disgusting that I am seeing this purity culture bullshit seep its way through to a community that I thought was so accepting and understanding. Yes, it's one thing if people are trying to use the subculture to gain, but it is another thing when I'm gonna read the comment, okay? I'm just gonna read the comment because it seems like right now is the right time to be spewing all of this bullshit. Supporting an industry that is solely run on the exploitation of women is not alternative. 28,000 likes when, you know what the narrative used to be 2 years ago? Only just 2 years ago. Support women and support their choices in life. If she doesn't want to work a 9 to 5 and instead she wants to do something that she thinks is gonna be good for her, such as taking some nudes, selling them, you know, I mean, that is her and her life. For example, just because I don't want to do that and I am not interested in that kind of stuff doesn't mean I'm gonna sit here and demonize the people who are. I just, because here's the thing, there are so many problems with the industry itself, but how about we talk about those problems instead of pointing the finger at these random girls who we don't know. I refuse to shame a woman for being in that line of work, because you've got to understand that to some degree, not all sex sex work is exploitive. If you are doing something within the comfort of your own home and you're not being told what to do, you're not being forced against your will, you're not being trafficked, nothing is happening, you're just, sorry, I had to burp there, too much monster today. And, you know, you're just selling some nudies. I'm not going to really hate on that. I don't really care. It is a nothing burger of an issue. I'm going to be honest right now. And I already smell the kinds of comments. Oh, so you support women degrading themselves? Way to show your asses, guys. But I also don't support all sex work because a lot of it is involved with trafficking women. It promotes CSA, exploiting women for the pleasure of a disgusting man. I support the exploited, not the exploiter. Let's just get that straight. I agree that it is harmful to a degree wearing a subculture as a costume in order to profit from it, because it's like, no, that's not what subculture wants. They don't want to be fetishized. They don't want to be treated like a porn category. You know, alternative women being into certain things is already stigmatized enough. Like, there are so many stereotypes on the internet alone. If you want to go do your own research yourself, certain men believe that alternative women are, quote, easy because, you know, look at her. She's got so many tattoos. She's got so many piercings. She's got that crazy hair. She dresses sexy. I mean, why would she not want it with me? When it's like, we do not consent to that whatsoever. I don't consent to that idea, that ideology in of itself. I'm sorry, there are certain things that I like in life, and that's not one of them. I just feel like something that is being lost within this conversation is general empathy. You know, first and foremost, I think so many people have jumped on the hate train because we're living in much different times at the moment compared to where we were 2 years ago. Like, we need to talk about the people in the shadows who are making this all possible to begin with. Because, I mean, in this instance, let's just boycott OnlyFans altogether if that's y'all's real issue. But no, a lot of people won't stand on their business because they too, deep down, believe that people should do whatever they want to do in life. But right now, it's cool to say this thing. That's why I kind of like, I'm already aware that people are not going to take this video well, because people are going to see that I'm showing empathy and I'm showing understanding and nuance for a conversation where all of that is being lost. When it's like, you know, I've also seen comments like this, and I'm not even going to bother even divulging into the stupidity that is of this fucking comment, because making up these kinds of scenarios isn't going to help with educating people on the dangers of this line of work, and that it isn't all just fun and spending heaps of money and being on top of the world. No, there is so much pushback from the people in your life. There are predatory OF agencies that literally prey on women who just want better for themselves, you know, and may that be through something that is rather unconventional. I mean, who am I to judge? Who are any of you to judge? All in all, I really don't want to sit here and be another mouthpiece in shaming the alt bop house for what they're doing at the moment, because I don't know that they're posers. I don't know any of these girls whatsoever. I've said what I think needs to be added into this discussion because it's like, I have my criticisms, but at the same time, I am also going to support people in doing what they want to do with their lives. Like, regardless of y'all's opinions, I have mine at the end of the day. That's entirely what Drama Queen is. Everyone is kind of just spewing the same shit over on TikTok, and you know, I hate to see it, really, but I'm not surprised. Because, I mean, what's next? Attacking women for posting sexy photos on Instagram? You know, like, it's just, men never receive this kind of backlash for also doing sex work. They don't. And a lot of them have tattoos and piercings too, and dyed hair as well. But where is the poser police for that? Where are people calling them out? It's like, it has to be an even playing field for everybody, or I really just think some people are misogynistic at their core, and whatever, you know, but don't try and speak on subculture when you clearly don't, you know much about it. So with all of that being said, everybody, that is all I have for today. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you know, topics like these make me really uncomfortable because I am somebody who struggles, you know, with my own sexuality because of trauma and because, you know, it wasn't ever something that was really normalized to me. Never really spoke about it with family, friends, you know, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. So with all of that being said, everybody, thank you so much for your stay at Yappersville today. I hope to see you again soon. Take care of yourselves, and most of all, love your fucking selves.